everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. I am Nidhi from Paybee. I'm one of the co-founders, and I am really excited to see you all here today. So today we're going to talk about hybrid and virtual fundraising events, something that we enjoy building for. So we're going to cover our perspective on these. So let's get started. A little about me. I'm Nidhi again, and just to give you a little bit of my background, I have a bachelor's and master's in computer engineering from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And while I was there, I focused on human-computer interfacing, which means how can we as humans build better computers and better technology to interface with us and make it more useful for us. I've worked at multiple companies in the past, like Microsoft and AMD and multiple other startups. And I feel at Pavi, all that experience is helping us quite a bit. And then a little about my company. We are Pavi. We are based in Menlo Park in California. We're about a mile away from Stanford. We build technology just for charities, and we build end-to-end technology. So our goal is to help charities with all their needs. So we pretty much have experience with everything you might be going through. And again, we build cutting edge technology. So especially with the world changing on all of us, we continue innovating and providing solutions so that you can keep up with the needs as they come up. Something that's very near and dear to our heart is to build tech that is very, very easy for all users, right? Especially donors. So make technology that is dead simple for all users. So no matter if it's grandma joining or grandpa or somebody who's super tech savvy, they should all be able to use technology with the same amount of ease. And again, what's the most important thing to us is to provide tech that's focused on delivering results and bringing joy to you and to your events. So that's a little bit of my background. And with where we are right now, we get a front row seat in watching all kinds of events. So we've seen all kinds of organizations like the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, Goodwill, some pretty fantastic organizations, and we get to get the front row seat and watch all these events in action. So we've seen a lot of things that are very, very successful, some things that, yeah, could be better next time, right? And our goal at today's webinar is to share that knowledge with you so that you can hopefully gather some tips that you can apply to your own fundraising events. So let's take a step back, right? So what is a hybrid event? So a hybrid event is where you can have donors who are in the room joining a gala like they used to before, sitting on tables, raising their paddles when they get inspired, when they want to pledge, when they want to bid, and they're continuing to support your organization from the room. At the same time, you can have donors who are joining from their own homes, from their own devices also, could be iPads, could be phones, and they could be joining you from anywhere in the world and feeling like they're just as much a part of the event, right? Again, that's very important. At a hybrid event, you want every donor to feel like they're a part of the event, and the event was built for their format, right? You don't want anybody to sit at home and feel, oh, I'm just watching a telecast of an event. You don't want that to happen. So a hybrid event is where there are two audiences who are joining and participating just as much as the other audience. So that's a hybrid event. So why hybrid? To give you concrete examples from one of our stories in our success stories, I guess. So Oakland Zoo, who's one of our clients, they typically have 300 people join their in-person event. It's just the size of the room, and again, that's how they plan, right? When they went virtual, when COVID hit, they went virtual, they had 1,600 donors who joined their event. So they had a fantastic audience. Oregon Valley, another one of our clients, their goal was to raise $75,000 at the hybrid event a few months ago. They ended up raising $229,000. So hybrid events are very, very powerful in helping you expand your donors as well as funds raised at your event. And again, it's just super inclusive, right? So you can have everybody join your event. So now let's go into the aspects of each component of the event. So first, let's focus on in-person gala. So again, I'm going to just put it out there. Again, our goal is to help you be successful at your event, no matter what technology you use. I'm going to, since again, I'm most familiar with Pavi, I'm going to keep referencing back to Pavi, but you're welcome to use any technology, and most things at this webinar should be applicable to everything. All right, so coming back to in-person gala, so I would recommend finding a technology which can handle all your needs. So you need technology that can handle your invitations, which can handle your guest lists as your guests start responding, help you with table assignments, check-in at the event, paddle assignment. This is pretty huge, right? Because once paddles are linked, all the activity can be monitored pretty quickly and help you be more efficient at your event. Capturing bids and paddles as your donors raise them, handle checkout, so you're closing all the donations at the end of the event, receipts getting sent out to your donors, as well as you having all the reports you need so that you can track your event live, as well as do post-event analysis as well. For now, virtual event, right? For the virtual component of your event, you do need your technology, which can again handle invitations, send out reminders right before your event, have a very, very easy way for your donors to join, right? We keep saying if it's one click, even better, right? Just have them click a button and join your event. Easy to use interface so that you don't have to spend time with tech issues at the event, but easy, and then they can just join your event, they can bid, they can pledge when they feel inclined to, they can finish the donation as well, and they should get a receipt, and your report should get updated as well. And then moving on to hybrid now, hybrid where you have your in-person and virtual components work in tandem, work at the same time, so both audiences can participate just as well, and then they can bid and pledge and do all those things that we talked about. So now coming back to your event, think about each component of your event, right? And then make sure you have it covered with your planning as well as your tech. So whether you're planning to have raffles and tickets, Fundinate, which is your pledge drive, silent auction, live auction. Again, I want to focus here on silent auction versus live auction because again, both of them work pretty differently. Silent auction is something that's going to be offline. You have donors who are going to go place bids. They're going to get outbid. They'll go bid again when they're notified. Live auction is something that's going to happen live in the event context. It could be led by auctioneer. It could be your MC, your executive director. It could be anybody, right? So they do work differently, and think about those two components in those contexts as well. And then fundraising games. Again, this is fundraising games, whether you're having Last Hero or Heads or Tails, are very, very effective in helping you gain those extra dollars just when all the funding need and the auctions are all done. It just gets people in a very competitive mode and you end up raising more. So think about those components as well. So to give you a specific example, right, silent auction. Again, silent auction is something that opens up early. Typically, all of us are used to having these sheets which have the table format, and then donors can go fill in their name and their paddle number and then just write their bid amounts. Now, as we go hybrid, you have to think about donors who are not physically present at the event as well. So one thing that works really well is to have bid sheets with QR codes on it. So the way this would work is you could place these sheets in front of the item at your venue, and donors could just go on there, turn on their phone camera, point the QR code. Again, QR codes, people were not as familiar before, but now everybody knows how to use QR codes. So your donors could just go point it to the QR code, and then they can place a bid. And they could be outbidding somebody who is not at the event, and somebody at home would get notified that, hey, you've been outbid for your African photo safari, and they can bid again, and then the person at the event can continue bidding again. So now suddenly you've included both audiences. So a minor change like this, where you just change the format of your silent auction sheet, can suddenly help you include your at-home audience as well and make it hybrid. Another piece that is pretty crucial are your paddles, right? So your in-person guests are going to be raising their paddles to pledge and to bid, and somebody at home needs to participate as well. So how could you do that, right? So one very important thing is to have your paddles pre-linked to your donors so that you know exactly who it is in the room who is bidding, and then you could have technology track it and then show the incremented bid amount to somebody at home and give them an opportunity to bid. Yes, donors in your room will be using their paddles to participate, and they don't need an app. And then this allows both audiences to bid, especially when they're linked to the donor. And then a pro tip for you is to generate paddles with the guest name. It just makes it very easy for you to hand it over to them. Guests know exactly whose paddle it is. They can pick it up and then they can start participating, and they know everything is linked to them as well. So have the name of the guest on the paddle. Another thing that we found help quite a bit is to have a QR code on the paddle that allows for self-checkout. Again, with COVID, where everybody wants to have non-contact solutions, as well as donors are always in a hurry to leave at the end of the event, which is understandable. They're there to support you. They've been there for a couple of hours. At the end of the event, nobody wants to wait in a line. So give them a way to do a self-checkout, right? You could have a QR code on there, which could take them to a list of their pledges, and then they could use their own devices to close their cards if they wanted. Having a guest name on it and allowing a QR code with self-checkout, we just call it Magic Paddle. So that's something you all could use as well. Having a clerk, right? So again, now there are people in the room who are raising their paddles, placing their bids. How do the bids get into a system so that people at home can see what's going on in the room, right? So you could have somebody as a clerk, right? It could be the auctioneer's assistant. It could be somebody from your own charities team who are capturing paddle raises in real time. So again, all of you are used to capturing paddle raises on paper. Now we recommend just capture it using phone or using some technology systems so that it gets fed into the system in real time. This way all your bids are keeping up, and then also you have your bidding history as well. So if you wanted to go back to it, you could, right? So you capture bids in the room using technology as well. Another piece that we found very, very useful to and well enjoyable for our in-person audience is to have an audience monitor. We're all used to having monitors for our auctioneers, for our MC. Now we recommend having an audience monitor. So this is something that could be connected on the projector, and it shows bids and pledges coming in from both audiences in real time. Right? So it helps the room know what's happening in the virtual space as well, because again, they're all donors, they're all contributing to the same cause. So audience monitor helps your in-person audience keep track of what's happening virtually as well. All right, so moving on. Coming back to your host or auctioneer, right? So again, consult with your auctioneer or your host and then understand their style and then work around it, right? A lot of times you'll have auctioneers which just come in and then you're suddenly trying to optimize and trying to make real-time decisions and try to adapt to them. It's best if you have a discussion with them upfront and then try to work around it. So a few styles that auctioneers typically work with. There's some who like to stand on the stage, and from there they're going to lead the whole show, right? So for them, you could have a teleprompter. It could either be on an iPad, it could be on a monitor, which is on the floor or on the side. Again, depending on your room, have a solution planned for them. You could have some auctioneers or hosts who like to walk around the room and then they want to go make close eye contact with the guests and just make it more personable. And for them, what you could have is have somebody in your team who has a special paddle and they're keeping track of online bids as they're coming on, and then they're raising their paddles. Then you're alerting your auctioneer that, hey, we have an online bid. So that way the auctioneer knows, right? Another option is to make the co-host the assistant to the auctioneer. So the co-host could keep track of what's happening online and then alert the auctioneer, hey, we have an online bid, and then bring it to their attention as well. So understand their style and then plan for it, right, in terms of people as well as technology, and see how to best support your auctioneer. Volunteers. Now, these are your team, and volunteers would be very, very useful in all aspects of the event, and here is how we recommend using them at hybrid events. So for your in-person component of the event, using your volunteers just makes it a lot more personalized because, again, your donors know your volunteers. It's a lot more cost effective for you as well, as opposed to getting experts from technology companies. Have your own team do it. It's just more cost effective for you. And then your volunteers can handle check-in at your event. And you could, again, plan for a solution where all your volunteers are helping with check-in at the start of the event. That way it's just more efficient for you, and then it'll also ensure that there's no waiting in lines, so a lot of your guests can be attended very quickly. And then the same volunteers can handle checkout at the end of the event, right? So we strongly recommend to our charities that, hey, don't break up your volunteers and don't tell them, hey, 4 of you are doing check-in and 6 of you are doing checkout. No, have all 10 of them do check-in and then have all 10 of them help with checkout. So the time of checkout, they could either assist a donor who wants to do self-checkout, or they could take a donation from a donor and help close their pledges. And another thing that works really well is have them use their own devices, right? A lot of times volunteers come to events and then you hand out iPads or something to them, and then they have trouble using it. They're Android users. Now you're giving them iPads, or the other way around. It's best if they can use their own devices. They're just a lot more comfortable with it. They also have data connection because they have a cell phone network, and it just helps you quite a bit, right? They can get onboarded pretty quickly. For your virtual audience, have a volunteer too who are engaging with your donors over there, and then welcoming them at your event, thanking them for their pledges, and then just keeping it more interactive and making it a fun experience for your virtual donors as well. A system that works really well that we've seen is to have a solution where no matter what activity the donor is participating in, whether it's raffles, whether it's auctions, pledge drive, games, everything goes into one place, so that you're making it a lot easier for your donors to close their pledges at the very end, right? It's best if they can just do one transaction and close it all together. But think about their end of the event experience as well, right? And make it easy for them. You're just more likely to get all your donations closed very quickly. Now let's move on to the video production, right? So the way the video production would work at hybrid events. So you would have your camera feed, which is going in, and then you'll have your producer who's kind of managing the feed coming in from your cameras and from your mics, and they're handling it on their system. And then what they're going to do is they're going to project content in the room. For example, the audience monitor that I talked about, you could be playing videos in the room, so they control that as well. And then they would use a system like StreamYard, which I'll talk about in a moment as well, to send the content across the internet using something like YouTube. It could be Vimeo, a whole bunch of solutions out there, any video streaming tool, and then send it out so donors at home can watch that video feed. And at the same time, they're also controlling what the donors see on their screen. So giving them the ability to pledge or giving them the ability to bid, right? So all that is going to be controlled by your producer. I would say 1 or maybe 2 people together could pretty much handle the whole production component of your event. So now talking a little more about producer. So producers, just to recap, they would be using the same systems that they're used to, right? In conjunction with whatever technology solution you go with to control the content for your at-home as well as in-person audience. And then they would also use a system to control the video component. There are a whole bunch of solutions out there like StreamYard and OBS and Emacs and a whole bunch of them, whatever they're comfortable with, they could use that to control the production component. In terms of equipment, right, the in-person equipment that you'd be using at your event is the same as what you had before with your mics and your cameras and the switchboard. It's the same stuff. And now if you also want to add the virtual component and make it hybrid, you'll need a few more laptops, another camera feed just focused on your host so that your at-home audience can see them, have the projector screen or the TV monitor for your in-person audience so they can see what's happening virtually, and very, very important, have high-speed internet at the venue so you can stream your event. Sometimes clients plan to have their event at a remote location, at a winery. So think about internet, right? So now there are solutions where you could have a device which will set up internet at that venue. It could be on a cliff in the middle of nowhere. And we have some pretty fantastic, robust solutions, so take advantage of them. In terms of setting up, now you're going to say, hey, this production seems like a large, complicated event, but again, it doesn't have to be, right? I mean, thanks to technology right now and the solutions out there, there are a whole variety of solutions available. You could either go, DIY and do it all on your own and use the resources in your team. Again, you have to put in the time and make sure you're all comfortable with the components, but it is possible, right? It's not rocket science. You can totally do it. You can always also get professionals. There are pretty fantastic professionals out there who can help you with a single component of the event where you need help and fill the gap, or they can help you handle everything as well. So all options are available to you and you can choose a solution that's right for you. So now let's see a hybrid gala in action, right? We promise we'll show you that. This is a recording from one of our events. What you'll see here is the in-person audience, and there is a donor who is raising the paddle and bidding, and you'll see them get outbid by somebody who is virtual. And just focus on the experience that the in-person audience are having and how they're interacting with the virtual audience. So I'm going to hit play. Hopefully it'll go through. Let's hit play.
Tour de Force and Williamson is back at 850. Now we're looking for 9. 850 bid in a minute at 9. Do I have $900? 850 is the bid. I'm looking for 900. Do I have 900 bucks? 850 is the bid. I'm looking for 9. I'm looking for 9. Do I have 900 anywhere? 850 is the bid. Do I have 900? $900 is the bid. And I think you just might have to go with a fat $1,000 on your next bid. I've got 900 right here. Everybody's going to go 950 or 1,000. And at 950. So Sade, back to you at a nice $1,000. Do I have $1,000? I'm looking for $1,000. I've got Ann Williams. $1,000. I've got Ann Williams at $1,000. Now who's going to go 1,000?
Awesome. So just as you saw there, I mean, even before the auctioneer noticed that hey, the virtual bidder came in, the in-person audience was keeping track of what's happening virtually, and they felt like, just as much a part of the audience as well. So at this event, what we saw is that the in-person audience was totally keeping track of what's happening virtually, and it worked out really, really well. So let me just recap to make hybrid events successful. So the first point is take your virtual audience seriously, right? And your goal is to help expand your audience. Take your virtual audience seriously. So think about their RSVPs, get them to commit their time, get them to put it on the calendar. Think of their run of show. So to give you an example, if you're going to open up the doors to your in-person event at 6 o'clock, you don't want to start your virtual event at 6 o'clock as well, right? So in-person audience is going to come in at 6, and then you're going to have a cocktail networking hour, and then everybody is going to get to their tables at 7, and that's when your host is going to come on stage as well. So maybe start your virtual event at 7, right? Think about their engagement as well. So have somebody from your team who's engaging with them and keeping it entertaining and, continuously communicating with them as well. Bring the team on board early. So you're going to have different people in your team at a hybrid event who are going to be playing different roles. Make sure they understand their role, and then make sure they know how to perform it. Give them the right tools that they need so that they can perform their role really, really well. And then use technology that truly caters to both audiences, right? So again, going back to my point, nobody should feel like they're just watching a telecast. Use technology to your aid so that you can truly give a good experience to both sets of donors. And last point, having good internet for streaming at venue. Again, I know I'm stressing on it, but it's super critical that you have good upload speed, that you can stream your live event in real time. Now, a couple of ideas to enhance your event. Again, we've all been going to Zoom meetings and we've been watching the same content come up over and over again. And again, if you had something different, it would just be a lot more fun for your audience, and it'll make it more memorable as well. Right? So have community engaging activities. So we've seen organizations have movie nights, right, where your donors are participating, and then they can support you when they feel like it. We've seen celebrity Pictionary, right? You'll have a famous sports personality drawing in real time, and then everybody is trying to guess from home as well as in the room, and guess what it is, right? Music competitions, they work really well. We've also seen makeup competitions. And one idea at these competitions, what you can do is have the first group perform, and then everybody who wants to vote for them could actually pledge. So you could have low stakes pledge like $5 or $1 or $10, and everybody who wants to vote for them could raise their paddle or hit the pledge button if they're online and support them. And then you can count the amount of pledges and then have them compete, right? You could just have silent auctions as well. We've seen charities do silent auction every so often because that's what their communities enjoy. So you can continue doing this in a hybrid setup or online virtual setup as well. Watch parties. These are starting to get very popular as things start opening up and people are comfortable meeting in smaller groups. You could have board members who are hosting these parties at their home. They are putting up their event, and then everybody could be bidding and pledging on their own devices. So you could have multiple satellite parties going on that way. You could have webinars as well, and with a donate button so that they can always support you when they wanted to. So think about what would be fun for your audience and then plan around it. Again, I would say in 2022 now, pretty much anything's possible. So think of an idea and I'm sure you'll find a solution to execute that. So Pavy's advice, my last slide here. Again, with all the changes going on right now, don't cancel event, right? There are always creative solutions that you could use to kind of change the format, tweak it, make a few changes, and then continue hosting the event. Because again, the bottom line is the donations are super critical. You have to continue the good work you're doing. So again, don't go to the extreme of canceling the event. Change format and get creative. Okay? So now I'm going to bring on my guest speaker, Franco Finn. Hopefully his audience, hey Franco, say hi if you are connected. Hopefully you are and you're good to go. Franco?
It doesn't look like he was able to work out the audio technical issue. So I think you're on your own here, and let's just go back and put up your slides again.
No worries, I'll continue. So
Okay.
again, Franco, if you do end up joining, just jump in, right? So I'm going to be covering a lot of content that Franco would have. We typically have a Q&A, but no worries. I'm happy to cover his stuff, right? So Franco is an MC host for the Warriors, and he is also a benefit auctioneer, which means—
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to make sure I cannot see your desktop.
I don't have— you want me to show some? I don't have something to show.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so he is a benefit auctioneer, which means he supports charities to host their events, and he actually helps them raise a lot more, right? He has worked at the Walt Disney Company for many, many years, as well as he's been a radio host at Disney as well as ABC. And he speaks 5 languages as well. So he is, what I really like about
Hi.
Franco, are you here, Franco?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can see me, but yes,
Okay, I can
that's
hear
a
you
great
too.
introduction. That's a
Awesome,
great
awesome.
introduction.
Good, good. So you can speak for yourself now when I ask you questions.
Yes.
So great. He's here, and yeah. So what I love most about Franco is he's really, really good at connecting with audiences and building a rapport with them, so all of them have a good time and they love, and they can continue supporting charities on the side. So what I want to pick Franco's brain on today is that exact point, right? And how he builds connections with the audiences, and then how he helps you raise more. So let's welcome Franco for real. Hi, Franco.
Hi there. I don't know if I'm just on audio, but I can hear and see everything that you're sharing, but I just don't see my picture, but that's okay. It's like a podcast. It's a podcast interview with Needy and Pavi, so thank you.
No, great. Welcome, Franco. And what I'd love to ask you, I know you always keep saying that, hey, the event is a show. And tell me
Yes.
how you think about it and how do you formulate it in your brain?
Well, yeah, thank you for the nice intro, and hopefully you could all hear me. But yes, everything is a show, and you mentioned I came from the kind of the school of Disney. Disney does it best. I mean, who doesn't love Disney? Whether you're 2 or 92 years old, there's something about that magic that pulls you in, right? It's that show. The moment you walk in, you just feel like that you're at the happiest place on earth. I look at every event, whether virtual or online or hybrid, just like that. Everything is a show, no matter how you approach it, because it's all about the experience. You are inviting people somewhere and you want them to be engaged. You want them to feel like, I'm part of this. There's a magic happening. And I use that word magic because really that's what Disney has done for many people all around the world. It's that magic. What is that spark? What is that excitement that gets people to give and experience your event, whether online, virtual, or hybrid, to that next level and say, wow, I really want to put my hard-earned money into this organization because I care and I want to give back. It's just like when you're going to the theme parks. You come in, you have an expectation, you're hooked right away. And yes, you probably have spent $500 before you even walk through the door, right? You bought your tickets, you get your family in there, you bought your table, whatever it may be. I look at it the same way. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything, to any experience. And when you walk into a theme park, when you walk into an event, when you walk into anything, you go in with expectations. Are they met? You see something visually, oh my gosh, there's a theme tonight. Look at how everyone's dressed. It's creating a mood now. You're in it. And then you take them on a journey, on a ride. Then there's the middle part of the event, which is the meat. Why are we here? The program. We're here at a fundraiser. We're supporting this cause or your cause, whatever that may be. And then at the end, you want to continue that and make sure that when they walk away from your event experience, no matter if it's online, virtual, or hybrid, they walk in and say, wow, that was a great show, a great event. So that's why I say an event is a show. Everyone has an attention span that's very small these days, especially after the pandemic. You got to capture the buzz and the energy right from the get-go. It sets the tone, it manages their expectations, and then they hopefully walk away saying, wow, I felt good giving my hard-earned money to this cause. And you basically, you got to have them at hello. Just like anything else, it's like that first 5 seconds, right? We all make judgments. We're human beings. That's just who we are. We expect certain things. We feel a certain way. So when you can stimulate an audience or engage or experience with your show, these little details, they make an impact. Everything matters from the moment you walk in to the moment you check out. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of in a nutshell, kind of what a show is about.
And now let's break open the nut, right? So let's talk about the momentum. How do you keep the momentum? How do you keep the energy, the buzz going? So what are some of the things that charities could do to keep that momentum going, or the host?
Yeah. And getting the right team is really, really important. You know, I mean, Nita, you mentioned there's so many moving parts to making sure your fundraiser, your event is a success. You know, everyone has a role in the program, in the show. And you mentioned to me, like, you know, I work in sports. I've been the hype man in arena MC for 20 years for the Golden State Warriors. There's 20,000 fans live every night I'm in front of. I bring that to my 200, 300 person event, and you take them on this momentum, this ride, right? Just like sports, you know, there's ups, there's downs, but you continue to just keep them with the team until we win at the end. So when you start momentum, what does momentum need? Momentum needs a spark, right? That's why, you know, having a dynamic team and, you know, kind of sparking it maybe with the look, the feel, maybe it's like decor or whatever it may be. There's something that kind of gets people saying, wow, this is going to be fun. So you've already started the momentum, right? And just like momentum, you just need that little push, that spark of fire. And then basically an event or an organized or a group needs to find a way to rally the people. What you have to do in momentum is you're rallying the people. I look at momentum on the court on a basketball every night for the Warriors, and you could be down by 50 points and somehow win at the end. Well, how does that happen? They gain momentum at the right place at the right time. And that's why I think a program, when carefully planned out, you know, should be strategic. You know, we have short attention spans. Don't wait till the biggest impact of the night is at the end of the night where everyone's tired. They've been, you know, going through a 2-hour experience already. You know, find that momentum where you're, okay, we're ramping up. We just teed up, let's say, the Fund a Need video, which I think really kicks off our, you know, the giving, the 100% dollar for dollar, the Fund a Need, right? That's a momentum starter. You have a nice engaging speaker, someone that can relate. You know, I know when I do events for charity for kids, having a kid there just kind of really reinforces why you're there. And it's like, wow, this kid kicks us off. I need your help because I'm one of those kids, and you're like, I want to support too. So I'm already joining your train here, right? And that's what a momentum is. It's a train that's gaining speed, moving forward very fast, and you want to just get on board. And that's what momentum is really about. Smooth transitions. Oh my goodness, like you talk about tech. I mean, we were having tech. You cannot control sometimes, as we all know, but there's ways to smooth it out, or hey, transition from here to here. Sometimes you have to think on your toes and build this momentum. Things will not be perfect, as we all know with events, right? You plan, but there's always something that kind of changes it up. And that's also another way to shift momentum. If there's something that is on a downer, let's bring them right back up. You really want to kind of cruise them along the entire journey and experience with you. And, you know, I look at it as just in simple terms, think of it as a wedding dance party, right? You're not going to always put, you know, you're not going to start off with just high energy club music, dance, electro, you know, beats per minute, very, 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 very high. I mean, you can, it'll set the tone, but then there's also times that you have to kind of bring it down a little bit. So, you know what? Bring out the oldies, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, kind of ramp it up, and then go back to slow songs or this and that. You're kind of, you know, you're gaining momentum with the crowd in different ways. Not everyone thinks the same, feels the same, but what you try to do is you're really rallying people together. That is what momentum is. You're rallying your team. I've seen the Warriors be down by 25, 30 points, and there's the fourth quarter. Well, you know what? They say, well, the momentum now is on the Warriors. It takes one slam dunk, one three-pointer from Steph Curry. Maybe your hype man, me, your auctioneer, says, all right, it's time. Let's get it going. Let's build that energy back up. Energy comes in waves to me. And that's what an experience is about. It's a journey, and you want to bring them in and keep the momentum going. And that's how you generate extra money. I'll be honest with you. Like, oftentimes when I come in, and there's other auctioneers, they have different techniques. I'm very good at reading energy and momentum in a room. When I see somebody having a bidding war, I make sure I go to that table, go to the other table, crack some jokes and say, wait a minute, are you going to let so-and-so take your vacation? Your flip-flops are being removed from you right now on that beach. And then they laugh, they joke, but I know that there's a bidding thing. And they're like, I'll do it. Okay, I'll bid more. And then the other one goes, oh my gosh, all right, you're going to let that person. And so I can read a crowd. And I tell you, I've started something at like $1,000 and it's gone to 200, 250,000 just by the momentum alone. And that's just reading a room, finding out who has the money. Obviously they are into it, but I'm capitalizing on that moment and I'm maximizing the momentum in the room and eventually maximizing the dollars. That's what a good auctioneer really does, because you're thinking fast on your feet and you're looking at the energy of the room, and hopefully you're making the right decision so that your momentum is in the positive direction and not in the negative direction. So that's in a nutshell what momentum is all about.
You also touched upon like the flow of the event, right? And I think that's where the run of show becomes very important. So thinking through every minute pretty much, right,
Yes.
of your event, and thinking about what do you want to place at the beginning, what in the middle, at the end. We've seen a lot of times charities just, again, to repeat what you said, keep the fundraising to the end, and that's where people are getting tired. And again, they are there to support you. They are there to support the organization. Entertainment are nice to have, so make sure you give your fundraising like the perfect spot and the most optimal spot.
Yeah.
Sure.
And another thing is, like dead air I look at, that's why I say a show. When you watch a show on TV or on the radio or anything, there's really lack of dead air, because that dead air is like, what's next? What's next? No, grab it, run with it and go. And even if you have to make something up, that's where a host and an auctioneer can really set the tone. Even if the program and timeline goes a little off skew, sometimes I've had to make a decision and say, this crowd is getting restless. We're not going to get money. And I've had to make a tough decision to tell the organizer, I think we should start now. And they said, what? But we didn't know. Forget about that. The money's in the room. They're waiting for something. They're connecting. Let's go now. And sometimes you have to do that and take charge. And I look at it. I'm a floor commander, like a quarterback. You have to kind of read the room, look deep, left, right. And sometimes you got to make an audible move and say, let's go. But you're right. It's the planning, as much pre-planning as you can. But events are events, right? And you just have to run with it and make sure you can maximize everything you can.
Another thing to add there, right? When there were in-person events only, I mean, it was okay for the host to get off stage, hand the mic over to the auctioneer, and then the auctioneer comes on board. Like that transition was okay. But now with the virtual component added in, well, if you're going hybrid, you cannot have that, right? You have to think perfect transitions. This person gets on. So again, dead air is a little different with the virtual event, and that's something you should think of. Like it has to be go, and like a perfect production. And it makes all the difference in the confidence that donors have in the way you run your events. And I guess emotionally they just feel, okay, this charity has their act together. I would love to give them my money.
Yeah. And online, just to share with you, I mean, like it is a different audience, but and it is, because and then hybrid is you're having to play both fields. And that's why I've been so successful. And I love like platforms like Paybee, because it really keeps things easy and simple. Like I know there's a lot of platforms out there, and I got to put a pat on the back for Paybee, because really during the pandemic, you guys transitioned to virtual very quick. You were already doing in-person events, so hybrid was a natural, easy fit to do both. But time is money, right? For people, like people just don't have the time to wait for things, to go to another site, do this, do that. So the ease of a platform really also makes a huge difference. You want to be sure that people can really watch, engage, connect, and just give by a simple click of a button, a simple this and that. It's hard to transition people to get up, get down, like, you know what I mean? Like you've been at events and it's like, oh my gosh, I have to move. The momentum is going. Like you want to keep it going. You don't want to have to stop and say, by the way, let me redirect you to another. Oh my goodness, like you've already lost the momentum there. So that's why I love like platforms like Paybee, because it's simple. You watch, you bid, you click, you give, that's it. And then at the end it summarizes, it takes all that kind of, process, out of the equation. And that's what's simple and easy. And that makes a good experience. And that's what people remember. Oh, checkout was smooth. I came in, it was easy. I bid on this, it gave me an itemized receipt. I'm done. I felt great about my event. And then I want to go more. I'll see you next year. And that's how you keep getting your momentum as well, is that you give people a really good experience from the get-go, all the way through, think it through, and think about if you were the audience member, what would you want to see, right? When you put effort into your show, your event, your broadcast, people see that. They will see that you put the time and effort. You didn't just turn on a computer or put this and that. Like, you put detail into this event because you want them to feel a certain way walking out of it. And that's a big thing. And that's a big connection point.
So I'm going to ask you one more question, Franco, and then we'll open it up to questions, right? So
Yeah.
charity, as they're thinking about their event, so tell me, why should they work with a professional, right, auctioneer? And also, if you could focus on, the ask, right? Why is
The
it
ask.
easier
Yeah.
for a professional to make the ask as opposed to somebody from the charity?
Yes, and I know there's many organizations out there that are tuning in right now that have maybe been doing things a certain way for many, many years. Oh, we were good. We were happy with this. But couldn't we always have more? And I think that's the beauty of an event and fundraiser. You never know your capacity until you reach that, right? You reach new levels. I've been very honored to be a part of some amazing auctions. And as coming in on my first year, where I've almost doubled their proceeds. How do I do that? Because you know what? Some organizations, they said, okay, finally, I'm going to work with a professional auctioneer. An auctioneer is one of the oldest professions out there. All an auctioneer does is getting the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And I mentioned before, time is money. Time is everything. So if you can't work an audience in that short amount of time and get people in and out, then you should maybe reevaluate. But a professional auctioneer can really help maximize the room. If you had an MC over the years who was doing it, maybe you had a board member, politicians, I've seen it, your weatherman, they may not be professional auctioneers. I'm a benefit auction specialist. I'm part of the National Auctioneers Association. I actually went to training all around to really learn from the best to find out how to maximize dollars in a room. An MC, your celebrity guest, your board member, let them be the MC. Let them tee up about, this is why this means a lot to me, this organization. And then let the money man, me, or the money woman, or the auctioneer focus on the money. And that's going to add another dimension and layer to your event. Having a professional, take it to the next level. This is the perfect opportunity now to try something new. And if you try something, I mean, there's no harm in trying. Maybe next year you evaluate. But you know what? After this pandemic, people are trying things. You know what? We never had a professional auctioneer, or we never worked at this thing. Now's the time, because you can literally start from ground zero and see what your potential is. And you know what's great about it is you know what? Our jobs as auctioneers, we don't want to leave any money on the table. Believe you me, that's like the equivalent of your nails on a chalkboard. Oh my gosh, did I leave some money out there? Because there's always money to be had. You just have to present it in a fun way, get people in a bidding war, and oh my gosh, I've never seen sometimes these. I mean, it's unbelievable how totals can just go up when you've got someone engaged and you have a bidding war and you're having some fun, and it really can make a huge difference with your goals. And I'll give you an example. My wife's high school, I do it for this private high school, St. Ignatius in the city. It's amazing. I set a record of 1.3 million when I first started. And then this pandemic year, I'm like, this school has money. We know that 1.3 is a lot of money for a high school, private school. We got it to 1.6. And I'm like, how much more can you raise? It's out there. You just need to bring the right team and the right professionals to make your all-star team so that you can present and really create an eventful experience.
No, that's great. And what I'll add to that is, again, I feel professionals, have a way of being neutral at events. Again, a lot of
Yes,
times executive directors or somebody from the team making an ask, they have all the history and, okay, this family is going through hard time, whatever it is, right? Making the ask might not come in as easy, but if some third person comes in, they know how to make the ask in raise as much as possible for your event, right?
indeed.
All right, we have a few more minutes, Franco. We'll go through some questions. So one
Yep.
question that came in, that what can you do in the first 5 seconds to build a connection, right, with the audience? Do you have some tips?
Well, I mean, I always say when you walk into a lobby, like, what's the first thing they see? They see a check-in, they see that. You know, music is such a big deal. Like, it sets the mood with anything, right? Music is really, you're at home and I'm like, oh, I don't want to clean the house, but there's music for me. Okay, if I could listen to this, it's kind of a nice day. All right, I'll get in the zone. I'll get in the mood. First 5 seconds. But things like that. Those are kind of extra event stuff, like the look and feel as soon as you walk into a lobby. Everything like that is very important. Also, how easy things are. Like when you walk in, is it right then and there? Are they greeting you with, like, I'll tell you, glass of champagne? I mean, you think about it, it's like, okay, I gotta go register, get my credit card, da 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 da. You imagine you walk into a red carpet and there's already someone with a tray the moment you set foot out of your car. Like, that right there is like, ooh. I mean, it depends on your event, your gala, of course. That's how you can get them in the first 5 seconds. Sometimes at an event, you play like a music video of, like, they call it like a sizzle reel, something that's like, okay, something is about to start. Like when I do player introductions for the Warriors, it's time. When I do the starting lineup, and now your golden, like, lights out, video is flashing, loud music. It's like the show, the main event is about to begin. That's how you can win over people in 5 seconds. It's literally things like that that can really set you apart and your events apart. Just say, oh yeah, that was fun. Oh my gosh, what's this going to be about? Keep them guessing, keep them on their feet, and keep them engaged.
So I would also add the virtual side to it, is continue with the same things for your virtual audience as well.
Yes.
Don't turn on the camera and have them watch people walk around. Keep it really fun from the get-go, right? Have produced content for them, have them see something that's meaningful. Basically, the whole idea is to get them into a different mindset from their usual life, right? Bring them in, right? Bring them where accurately.
Yes. And I like how you say that, because I'm seeing it in hybrid events. People like to people watch. We're human beings. People watch. And so having the right virtual, my production team, we have cameras that follow, people in the action. Because, like, if you're not there, well, make them feel like they're there, right? Get them in that thing, like, oh, you're people watching. If it's a costume event, like, get the camera to look at some really funny costumes, have people chatting online. Paybee's great about that, because sometimes you open up the lobby a little bit early. People are like, oh, hi, nice to see you. Have someone from the organization say, hey, Needy, hey, Franco, great to see you virtually online. Like, make them feel like they were there without being there. Those little things like that make them feel, oh, this is kind of fun. People love chat rooms. People love to people watch. Get them in early.
No, totally. And then talking about entertainment, we have Jaded in the audience who's talking about they're bringing in a live artist this year. And I would say that live artists work really, really well, right? To give you an example,
Oh,
we
yeah.
had an organization who found an artist from India, from across the world. And again, it was the middle of the night for those artists, but in the year it was perfect. And the artists were taking live requests, right? So there were audience members from the room as well as virtual audience who were making requests, and the artists were playing the song. Again, it just became such a special experience for the audience where they got to listen to a song that they enjoyed, right? But yeah, live artists is an awesome idea. Awesome. Moving on to another question. I guess this one is for you, Franco. Any examples of how you recovered from a gaffe? right? We have three team volunteer auctioneers play off each other, but your pro advice for newbies. What do you advise?
So advice for newbies doing what? For new auctioneers or
Yeah,
new?
so they have volunteer auctioneers. They have 3 of them. We're going to be hosting the event. Any advice for them?
Yes. Let your personality shine. I mean, let you be you. I mean, obviously you've been selected or you volunteered, and you're obviously personable enough to handle an audience in person. What I tell people is, you are the only one to be unique to yourself. I'm an energy kind of guy. I'm a hype man. I really am, and I truly, I'm hyper. I'm energetic. I'm just that's kind of my bottle, right? Like if I had to put a brand, that's my hype. I'm the hype bottle, in the aisle because it's energy. But some people are funny, more quirky. But you know what? Sometimes what you have to do is you got to break a room in, listen to what came before you, observe something, and then maybe like toss it to something else. Like really just, the best hosts on TV and whatnot can literally think on their toes and just have a good time. If there was something that was happening earlier in the day, reference it back, put it into a joke, and let the ice break a little bit. Because sometimes you might be nervous up there, and that's normal. But they're like, who is this? Frame yourself up to say like, I'm gonna take you on this ride. I'm your auctioneer. Have a little fun with it, and let them know a little bit about your personality. Just like a comedian, I tell you, comedians have the toughest job because every comedian is very different from the other. But when you see them, you're like, okay, is this comedian going to be funny? I've never heard of them. But then they're like, oh, they're kind of quirky, but they're kind of funny. I want to hear more. Like, be you and find a way to just kind of engage and pull everyone together so that they can see you as that auctioneer, because you are an important piece of the event. And if you're volunteering, oh my goodness, like there's a lot on you. I get it. But really understand your crowd. Maybe point out to somebody in the audience, and since you might know people in the room, have a little fun with it. Like talk about the theme. Oh my gosh, look at Bob over there. We have a Hawaii theme. Bob, I've never seen you in shorts before, but my goodness, just break something up like that, and people will just laugh. And I tell you, sometimes laughter cures all things, and then it just kind of relaxes a little bit, But know your room. Know your room. I know we're a little over time, but what I like to do is I walk around when people are looking at silent auctions. They're registering. They're looking here. Oh, how you doing? I'm the auctioneer tonight. You look great tonight, by the way. Look at this looking couple right here. You've already built a rapport. Build a rapport. That's what any professional person that's speaking on a stage has to do, whether you're emceeing the Oscars or auctioneering a gala. Build a rapport. Work the room a little bit. Let them know who you are, and you're here to raise money, and have a little fun if you can.
And I would add to that is practice, practice, practice. Right? The more you practice, and especially if you have 3 auctioneers, the better rapport they can build, the better chemistry that they'll have on stage. They'll know how to kind of go back to what they practiced, right? So that again produces the dead air in between, the awkwardness that you could have on the stage. You'll just have a better show.
And what I like to add is know your items. Know your items. Know the program in and out.
Yes,
just like your game. Yes, your game book. Yeah. If you have to read and it looks like you're just reading like the block of letters, no, that's not good. Like just talk about it, flow about it, and most importantly, when an auctioneer, know your numbers. Everything is numbers. Practice with a telephone pole. That's what I do when I'm driving. They tell you in auction school, look at auction poles and say, all right, 5, 10, 15, 20, like as you're driving, and then you go backwards, those are the drills you do as an auctioneer, because it's about the numbers at the end, less about the ahs like that. But sometimes you have to crack the joke, do this, but keep the numbers moving, because that is how you get the most money.
Definitely. Jade from the audience is saying he found the QR code suggestions helpful. I'm glad he did. Again, it's become a pretty powerful tool, QR codes. Now it's all inbuilt. QR code readers are inbuilt on everybody's phone cameras, and people know how to use them. So take advantage of them. They are awesome. Yes. Okay, great. Then let's get on to the next question, which is how do smaller budgeted organizations find professional money makers that will be willing to help? I have some ideas. Do you have any, Franco, you want to go with, or?
Well, I mean, budgets are, are a big deal, obviously, to kind of make your event happen. I mean, if you do have, a very, vocal board member, or maybe you have your local, news person or somebody that's kind of got a little, celebrity factor that helps a little bit. Sometimes you might not have the budget for it. Maybe you're looking for a volunteer. Look for somebody that is respected in the community for sure, but someone that has a personality, something that's outgoing, and that can connect with the audience and really pull the money in the room. Like that is a big deal to have someone be your auctioneer / MC or both or whatever, because they're really setting the tone for the event, for the show. And it's tough. There might be some, I've seen it where people use kids in a great way, and that's doesn't cost much for a school, but sometimes people seeing them as the MCs and it's about the kids, it reflects about, oh, let's say I'm giving for the kids. And so sometimes you might be resourceful and use what you have in your tool shed to really tell your story. I have one event that I do, and it's really about the kids at this Demariac school in the city. They're the stars. They're dressed up in their cute uniforms. These are underserved kids in the Tenderloin, and they got this great private school education because the donors in the room support the kids. They're the stars of the show. It doesn't cost any money for them, but you know what? These kids talk to these donors, and that reinforces why they want to give to them. So it just depends on what your org does and who you can put in the spotlight to be your Pied Piper to take people to the next level.
I would say, again, just going back to consider professionals, right? Have a few conversations, just do a Google search, find benefit auctioneers, speak to a few of them, and then talk about what kind of results they could bring you. Because again, a lot of them will bring you just so much more than pay for their fee. That's one. And second is look in your community, right? You'll have people who are funny and, who can make people laugh and connect with the audience, and bring them in early, get them to practice, and they could do a great job. Again, do whatever's right for your organization. You don't have to pick a specific solution. Pick what's right for you. Awesome. Another question. Can you offer a few examples of format with a team building or cooking mixology competition, team-based or individuals working from home and office? Again, with all the tools available right now, Geneva, this is pretty doable. You have solutions where you can bring in video feeds like Zoom does, right? Zoom is one example, but bring in feeds from multiple people, and then have somebody who's kind of controlling the video so that you can see everybody's view most of the time. Once in a while, you're focusing on somebody who's doing something interesting or strange, and get them to focus on that. I would say, especially if this is a fundraiser, think about giving them a tool so they can easily support you at the same time as well, right? So the audience should be able to donate, right? One thing we keep telling our charities is, again, think of donation in the moment of inspiration. So whenever somebody is inspired to donate, they should be able to take action. And don't tell them at that moment, hey, go to our website and make a donation or send us a check. They're going to say, sure, I'll do it. Or as humans, again, we're all lazy. Make it easy for them to just tap on something, make their pledge so they can support you. But in terms of putting up the content for your cooking mixology competition, again, multiple solutions. My email address should be in the chat. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to brainstorm with you. Again, you don't have to use our technology. We're happy to share our knowledge and brainstorm your event as well. Awesome. Let's see. There's a question. How do you keep the excitement and involvement for a hybrid event in which only certain people are allowed to attend? So I guess here, maybe Franco, you can address, there are some people who are in the room, but you have a lot larger audience who are at home. So if you were to host an event like that, and I know you have multiple
Oh,
of them.
yes.
What are the things that you would do or you do?
Well, I mean, if you're already investing in a kind of a hybrid format, you know there's definitely some worth to doing both. You have an in-person audience that's a good attendance, and then you know that there's another audience out there that also has potential to also give a lot. So that's why you're deciding, I'm gonna do a hybrid, right? There's that moment where you're like, okay, is it worth it? Well, that's where you got to get someone that's professional to really work the room, and it is it's not easy. I tell you that much. It is not easy because I do it every night live in front of a live audience at the arena, right? I take that with me and I do it live in person, but I'm also on TV. I've been on TV for many years, and so I could look at a camera at home, and that's why it was so successful virtually. With a hybrid, you really have to, I mean, as an auctioneer, I mean, I'm speaking on my experience, you have to play both fields. You're essentially having two big rooms, one's in person and one's a big virtual room. So you have to really visualize when you're saying you have to invite the people from home. I'll often say things like, all right, we've got a great event here tonight. How many out here? Like, and, I'll do some crowd response. Let me hear the, blah, blah, blah. Like I did an auction this weekend. It was hybrid. And I said, all right, sophomore parents, junior parents, senior parents, they hear it. And then I'll just have some fun. I'll say, hey, any parents at home, let me hear you scream from the tops of your lungs in your kitchens and living rooms. And I just give a moment. It's kind of weird, but to the people at home, oh, he's talking to me. I'm part of this event. That is so important. Like, there's going to be moments where you have to bring both sides in and you have to switch a lot. You can't just focus on the room and the audience. Look at the camera that's looking at online and say, hey, and for those of you at home, like even like a simple thing like that. And for those of you at home, take a good look and then make them feel like they are seeing things here. Like, hey, wave, it's funny because when you're online, you can't see the reaction of the people on the other side. That's what makes you a very good host and auctioneer. You perform like you are in their living room and you may not see a reaction. I was in radio for so many years. You imagine speaking into a microphone all day and there is no response from anybody. That's the best training any human being can have. You're like, all right, everybody listening today, this is what we're talking about. And you don't hear anything, but you have a conversation with yourself. It's almost the same thing. Just pull them in from time to time. Eye contact. Oh my gosh, that's something that we didn't cover, but eye contact on a camera or in person, I tell you, goes a long way. That eye contact means you see me, I see you, I'm involved. Simple things like that.
And call them by their names, right? So if the donors
First,
are
yes.
making the pledge, thank you so much, Mike Smith, for your donation. And suddenly they feel like so much more connected. Acknowledge them by their names,
Yes.
whether they're at home or I'd say in the room. Don't call them number 475. Thank you so much for your pledge. Thank you, Raymond, for your pledge of
Oh,
5.
yeah.
Just think about the impact that has,
And what
right?
what I like
Now
to
there
do
are
too,
solutions that support that, so you can do it.
yeah, and what I like to do is I like to sometimes have fun with names. Sometimes the names just come out, and their last names, and I have some fun with it. And they're not going to respond to me because you can't really hear them, right? So that's the beauty. But you can make up something and say, "Oh, Johnny B, you're probably having a good time, in your kitchen, blah, blah, blah." You just have some fun with the people that are in the audience and things like that. So it's been great.
Cool. I'll take the
So
next
yeah.
question here, Franco. Are there specialized technical platforms or sites to carry out virtual and hybrid? Again, we're Paybee. Everything that we talked about, you can do on our platform. We're paybee.io. We'll leave our website. I see our email is already shared. You're welcome to use it. But again, just do a Google search. I think technology has improved so much. I feel COVID kind of pushed innovation in this space, and it has improved so much. There's some fantastic solutions out there. Do your research. Attend live demos, watch the technology in action, and then see what's right for you and your audience, right? And go with what makes it easy for you and manageable for you. Make sure you get the tech support you need from the organization, from the company as well, so that you could just get a head start on all your tasks as well. That being said, we do have a live demo that's going on right now. If you wanted to participate in, at least on Paybee side, at one of our mini galas, we do have an auctioneer who comes in. You can bid and pledge. You'll be joining virtually, obviously, but we'll show you the hybrid setup. So feel free to join that. The link is right there. Feel free to hop on. You can always come back to our demo. We run them twice a week. So just come over at any time. We'd love to show you what we have, and then you can decide if it's right for you. But that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for attending our webinar. Hope you found a couple of tips that you could apply to your event. And if there's anything we can do to help, either Pavi or Franco, we're happy to help. I'm going to put up our contact information here as well. It's my direct email address as well as Franco. Feel free to reach out to us. We would both love to help as well. Thank you. Heather?
Yes, thank you so much. That was awesome. Really good job despite some minor tech glitches. Just lots of really practical, useful advice, which I know nonprofits always appreciate over the big picture kind of, you can do anything as long as you have a whole bunch of money. So I appreciate the very practical kind of down to earth and honest approach. And Franco, I'm so glad you could join us. You had me fired up. I was smiling through the whole webinar, so I really appreciate that. And like Needy said, she or Paybee will be sending a link to the recording within 24 to 48 hours, as well as some resources. I just checked out that live demo. It's cool. I've never seen anything like that. So awesome. And the links in the chat, or I actually just put it up on Twitter as well. And I think that's it. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And I'm going to end this webinar now. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.